everyone, I'm Too Many Lemons, and this is Trivial Top 10s. Now to start this video, I want to say that I don't want to be too obvious. That's not to say that I won't be, just that I'm attempting not to be. Fingers crossed. We lived with the New 52 for 5 years. We had highs, and we had lows. Very low lows. Okay, Grand Canyon level lows. But when all is said and done, and with Rebirth now in full swing, I think it's a good time to look back at those 5 years and remember some of the good things that the 2011 reboot brought to DC fans. I also just want to remind everyone that this is a list full of opinions. This is not a factual list developed by scientists to 100% accurately determine the quality of books through the 5-year period. It's just one comic book store employee online telling other people what he enjoyed reading. And now, on to the best New 52 books. Number 10. Wonder Woman. While I didn't agree totally with the rewriting of Wendy's origin, again, I did fall in love with the book. Written by Brian Azzarello, the book follows Wendy, who is tasked with protecting a woman named Zola, a human who is pregnant with the baby of Zeus, who, might I mention, is being hunted by Zeus's jealous wife Hera. As all that is happening, Zeus vanishes, and the world is left on Diana's shoulders. The book has twists and turns, and like I said before, completely trashes Wendy's origin, but it stays true to what we love about the character, and it's that balance between the two sides of Wendy. As we see a woman of war who tries to turn against it, who does not want to fight, but is forced to protect the people close to her. If you never picked it up, I recommend you do, but stop when Az leaves the book, which is issue 35, because after that, Number 9. Batman Incorporated. Grant Morrison had been working on Batman Inc. for years before the New 52, but the 13-issue New 52 run resolved all the plot threads. The League of Assassins, Damian Wayne, and Batman making himself a global brand. It didn't matter that it didn't make sense in continuity anymore. The battles and the stakes were never bigger. After it all, Grant Morrison and Chris Burnham put together an amazing statement on who the real Batman is. Number 8. Justice League Dark. Listen, I could sit here and talk about Peter Milligan or Jeff Lemire, or the fact that it's an absolutely brilliant idea of a team. A supernatural Justice League composed of John Constantine, Madame Xanadu, Deadman, Shade the Changing Man, and Zatanna, among many others, in an occult Vertigo-esque book where the team would have to deal with the weird, strange, and mystical. But I'll be honest with you, and I'll tell you the real reason this is on the list. This book introduced me to my favorite artist, Michael Janine. It just helps that the writing and premise was great. Number 7. Animal Man. Well, since the last one I totally breezed over Jeff, here you go. Jeff Lemire took a C-list DC character and turned him completely over to create something magnificent. This book wasn't your average Animal Man book. It created a look never before seen of Animal Man's powers, family, and responsibility to the planet as a whole. I never thought these words would come out of my mouth, but Jeff Lemire's Animal Man surpassed the great Grant Morrison's. I need a shower after that one. But we will get to Grant soon enough. Number 6. Prez. By all accounts, this book should have been bad. All of them. I've seen all the accounts. Prez started as a short-lived comic book series in 1973 called Prez First Teen President. It sounds awful. Who on earth thought to revive this long-dead miniseries? A man named Mark Russell, a no-name writer who had never done anything and whose Wikipedia summary is 2 sentences long. By all accounts, this should have been bad. So why wasn't it? This book took social commentary to a whole different planet, let alone level. It's clever in ways I could never imagine a book could be. This 6-issue series starts with a young woman nicknamed Hot Dog Girl, a 16-year-old fast food employee that did something embarrassing which got posted online and went viral. But the year is 2032, and the presidential election is going on. The polling for the joke Hot Dog Girl becomes stronger and stronger until she accidentally becomes president. Its subjects were always smart and left readers with plenty to think about and plenty to laugh about. But the sad tale of this book is that no one read it, and it was cancelled after a short 6 issues. You will be missed, Prez. Number 5. Batman. When I said I wasn't gonna be obvious, I meant it. Or at least I tried to. But this did have to be on the list somewhere, so 5 seemed like a good compromise. This is Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's major mark on DC Comics. This book was great. Whether focusing on a league of super wealthy, hell-bent on domination in Court of Owls, a crazed Joker cutting off his own face in Death of the Family, or a grounded tale of the Dark Knight's first year as Batman in Zero Year. And even with one of the biggest blunders in all of the New 52, Super Heavy, it did have absolutely breathtaking moments. Basically, everything with Bruce Wayne and nothing with Jim Bat. Number 4. Nightwing. Listen, before we even start, yes, Nightwing is my favorite character. And yes, I'm biased. But I did warn you that this list is my opinion. So there. This is a Dick Grayson book through and through, focusing mainly on his parents' murderer and the circus where he grew up, and it was a great look at the human side of heroism, seeing how Nightwing lived in his off time just as much as when he was in the costume. Crime fighting, humor, and heart. What more could you ask for? Number 3. The Omega Men. This is a classic, love it or hate it book. There just doesn't seem to be a middle ground. Though I, for one, love it. This book has a wonderful use of the comic book format, a powerful story, and consistency. I've heard it described as this generation's Watchmen, and I believe it. Over 12 issues, it had a clear beginning, middle, and end, introducing readers to characters new and old, and made us feel for them, and come to like them. A personal story with geopolitical concerns, every panel felt like it had a purpose. It is absolutely a work of art. Well done, Tom King. And since we're already talking about Tom King, number 2. Grayson. This one, I don't even need to defend. Grayson is a powerhouse of a book. If you're not a Dick Grayson, Tom King, or Michael Janine fan, read this book and I promise you, you will be. Grayson is Dick Grayson as James Bond. It's somehow a slow-burning story that gets right into the action. I don't know how they did it. It focuses on a newly secret agent, Dick Grayson, working as a double agent for an organization named Spiral, whose goal is to demask all superheroes and have their identities open to the public. But Dick is on a mission from Batman to get the organization's trust and then bring it down, all while everyone Dick knows and loves, except for Batman, thinks he's dead. Dick continues his mission for Spiral, all while trying to contact Batman, who stops responding. As we know from Super Heavy, he's dead. Dick, all alone, has to fend for himself and try to take down an evil organization that he works for, while fighting himself every step of the way to not go find out why Bruce stopped responding. Which all leads up to one of the most emotional issues I've read in a long time in issue 12, where Dick Grayson returns to Gotham. It's powerful and it's deep. But above all, with a slogan, "You may think you know Nightwing, but you don't know Dick," pretty much sums up anything else I could say about this amazingly good book. So before we get to number 1, I just want to run through some honorable mentions. Grayson, Future's End one-shot. Future's End was a line-wide event in which every DC book got a Future's End one-shot, focusing on 5 years in their respective future. But we're not here to talk about Future's End, just the Grayson one-shot. This book is amazing. It reads like a normal book until you get to the end and you're instructed to read it backwards, and you find hidden clues throughout the book, giving it a totally new ending. I highly recommend reading this book, but skip all the rest of Future's End. Justice League. Darkseid War was the shining light in the hole that was the DCU, and Justice League War and the Earth 3 Invasion and Forever Evil were also great. But the list can only be 10, and Justice League, you just came up one great arc short. Gotham Academy. A high school drama set in a historic, Gotham Academy? Batman mythos with the fun of a CW show. Not much else to say, it's a great little book. Batman and Robin. I'll be honest, the only reason this wasn't on the list is because of all the other bad books here. Peter J. Tomasi wrote a brilliant book that gave us just enough Damian that covered Scott Snyder's hatred of the character. And finally, that leads us to Demon Knights. I'm surprised about how many people haven't read this book. It's seriously awesome. Etrigan the Demon, Madame Xanadu, and Shining Knight, among others, form a team in the medieval period of DC continuity. Witty, thought-provoking, and just plain fun to read. It was cancelled long too soon. Rest in peace, Demon Knights. Number 1. Multiversity. Grant Morrison illustrated a line of interrelated one-shots set in the multiverse of the DC universe. In total, there were 9 books, each with their own setting and story. But when you realize it's a massive tale, it becomes an epic. The background on these books deserve individual spots on this list. Hell, even a video all on their own. But for the sake of this video, I'll just say a little bit of what I thought about each. Multiversity number 1 introduced President Superman and a team that would span the multiverse itself. A Justice League of the Multiverse, with the HQ named the Multiversity, with characters like the aforementioned President Superman, Captain Carrot, a Looney Tunes-style rabbit, and Thunderer, an aboriginal version of Marvel's Thor. It is a great start to the Multiversity. The second book was the Society of Superheroes, Conquerors from the Counter World. This book featured the Society of Superheroes from Earth 20 and their villainous counterparts from Earth 40. Printed in a pulp style to mimic a 1950s book, Morrison described it as kind of a Doc Savage come Dr. Fate guy who teams with the Mighty Atom, the Immortal Man, Lady Blackhawk and her Blackhawks, and Abin Sur the Green Lantern. It's all kind of a 1940s retro thing. It's a pulp take on superheroes. The third was The Just. The Just features a world of legacy characters and children of superheroes from Earth 16, such as Connor Hawk and the Super Sons. But they're not the main heroes. There's a whole young generation of heroes, kind of media brats. Morrison describes them as children of superheroes, a son of Superman, a son of Batman, who exist in a world where they have these incredible abilities, but the previous generation had ushered in a utopia, so they don't really have any notion of where to direct it, and they're very unhappy with the world as is. Morrison also described the book as what happens when your mom and dad fix everything. Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman have fixed everything, so the kids have nothing to do. Instead, they resort to battle reenactments. All the kids, they dress up as superheroes, but they've never fought anything. It's mainly a character study, though, as it focuses on Damian Wayne and Lex Luthor's daughter. And I would take 7 or 8 books from this idea alone. The fourth book was Pax Americana, which takes place on Earth 4 and features characters from Charlton Comics. It was described by Morrison as if Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons had pitched Watchmen now, rooted in a contemporary political landscape rather than the Cold War focus of Watchmen. The titles focus on international terrorism and conspiracy in a world of superheroes. After that, we got Book 5, Thunderworld Adventures, which takes place on Earth 5 and features characters from the Captain Marvel family. Morrison described the book as a classic Shazam book, but it's done in a way almost like a Pixar movie, or the way that they did All-Star Superman. It captures the spirit of those characters without being nostalgic or out of date. Book 6 was the guidebook, consisting of detailed entries on all 52 Earths, a map showcasing all known existence, and a history of the crisis events. The one-shot was published in an 80-page giant format. Book 7, which I would consider the best of Multiversity, was Masterman. It takes place on Earth 10 in 1956 and features characters from the Quality Comics as part of the Freedom Fighters and Nazi versions of various heroes. The concept is borrowed from Earth X, a universe where Nazi Germany won in World War II, featured in Stories Before Crisis on Infinite Earths. Morrison described the one-shot as a big, dark Shakespearean story. Overman, the Superman of this world, landed on Earth in 1939 in Nazi territory and was raised by Adolf Hitler. The story is set around a utopia built by this world's Superman after he realizes the evil nature of Hitler. This Superman knows his entire society, though it looks utopian, was built on the bones of the innocent dead. Ultimately, it's wrong and it must be destroyed. It's a powerful book. Book 8, Ultra Comics, came after. This book takes place on Earth 33, an alternate name for the real world. It features Ultra, the first superhero of Earth Prime. Morrison describes this book as the most advanced thing I've ever done. It just takes something that used to be done in comics and captions that they don't do anymore, and turning it into a technique, a weapon. But beyond that, I don't know what to say. It's a haunted comic book, actually. It's the most frightening thing anyone will ever read. It's actually haunted. If you read this thing, you'll become possessed. Obviously, he had a love for this book, and it shows in the pages. It's a great read. The last book in the series was Multiversity number 2, which features the final battle between the Gentry and the combined superheroes of DC Comics Multiverse, Aquawoman, Thunderer, President Superman, Captain Carrot, Red Racer, and more all come together in an amazing end to an amazing series. If you miss out on the series, you're seriously missing out. Go to your nearest comic book store and pick up the collected edition. I promise it's well worth it. So that's my list. This has been a long time coming. 6 months coming. Sorry to anyone and everyone who waited. But it's here now. And now that you've seen it, you can tell me why I'm wrong in the comments. Anyway, thanks everyone. Please let me know what you thought and don't forget to like the video. It really helps me out. Have a good one.